Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 73rd episode of Kouryer Podcast. Yes, this is the second time we're recording this episode, and it's because the first time we recorded was in Farsi. And for you, dear English-speaking audience, I mean, if you were wondering what was that episode I uploaded, what language is this? It was Farsi. It's the language of Iranian and Afghani and Tajik people. Now, with that out of the way, we of course this is the first time actually I uploaded and recorded an episode in two languages. So it's a new milestone for the podcast. Today, our guest is Mr. Ali Chenari. He's an animation art director and founder of Nilian Animation Studio from Toronto, Canada. Now, with that introduction out of the way, could you please give us a little introduction on how you got into visual arts and design?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And it was like, it is a long story. I'm trying to just give you a short introduction about myself. So I started my career, like I have been working in this industry for almost like 19 years. And I remember I started my career by learning some computer software. It was like the first time that my family bought a computer, and then we were all trying to figure out how to work with the computer. And I found for my sister that there is a something called animation that they're learning it in the like private institutions. And then when I found about the animation, and when I like reading more about the animation, I became really interested in learning more about this software. It was a 3D animation software, and I tried to I went to the institute. I tried to work with the first version of 3D Studio Max, and very soon I found that I realized that if I want to learn more about the computer animation, I have to learn the principle of the art. That is something really important. And I started mastering my 2D design skill. I started learning more about the animation, studying more the animation. And those days, I was so inspired by the Pixar short films, Jerry's Games, and it was like another short film called The Bird. I think those short animation from Pixar's, they were really mind blowing, and they I got a lot of inspirationals from those animation. And like since then, I was just uh trying to get some work, and I started a career, and I started as a 3D modeler and 3D generalist. I worked in many different TVC commercial project. And after a while, I found that I like as because I did have two both experiences, 2D designer. I used to work as a 2D designer and 3D artist, and I found that I really want to be more focused on the look of the animation, like where we can design the graphic and the style of the project. And that was where I started doing art direction for a few projects. And very soon I directed a short animation. It was 2003 that I directed my first short animation. And then I became more focused on the art direction. And in the past decade also, I have worked for many different prominent clients such as Nickelodeon, DreamWorks TV, Unity Technology, Lemon Sky Animation, on many different projects like Santiago of the Sea, Middle School Mogul, Astrology. And it's been a year that I launched my company in Toronto. It's a small animation studio in Toronto, and we are working for so many clients. And yeah, that's just a short introduction, and that was my journey. Um,
All right, there's definitely a lot to unpack in this episode, and we're gonna talk about Nearly an Animation Studio and some of the works you mentioned. But first, let me ask you this: were you originally studying art and design, or you were pursuing another career path? And I mean, when you were in your teenagers and were decide and was thinking about your future and what were you gonna do?
uh, During my childhood, I never thought that I'm gonna be an animator or designer. I didn't know that. I had a taste for storytelling. My mom always kept telling me that I had the taste for storytelling. I was changing the story that because my mom told me like many folk story, and I was trying to change the ending of this story, and it was like obvious that I had some sort of passion about the storytelling, but I was never like a good sketching artist or a good painter. And like as I told you, I began like my journey began with learning like animation softwares. But like I started like I was so self-motivated, and I started like reading a lot of books about the animation, the fine art, and I went to a college. I don't know how to translate the college name, but it was in the Tehran University. It was an animation. It was an animation course. It was 1 year an animation course, and I learned a lot of things about the animation and computer animation in that course. And I went also to university in the graphic field, but very soon I quit the university because I thought that university is a hinder. To be honest, I'm not like suggesting to anyone to quit the university, but for me, because I was learning a lot of things outside the university, when I went to the university, like the assignments and all the rest of the things were hindering me to learn more about the animation. Because also, like specifically, I was like studying graphic design, and in graphic design, you have to learn a lot of things, tons of things about the different aspects of the art. So in some of the sessions, you're gonna learn about packaging, graphic design, like photography, painting, and it's some sort of mix of everything. But I wanted to be more focused on the animation. That's why I quit the university, and I went to do some self-study, and yeah, like that was just the educational journey that I had.
All right, pretty interesting. And what is the main branch of design you're focusing on right now, as of today? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now. And by branch of design, I mean, well, in terms of like technical aspect of the visual art, field of visual arts. Like, are you an animator right now? Are you an illustrator? Like, what are you doing right now?
Like as I told you, I recently worked as an like I have been working as an animation art director, but since I found my animation company, I'm trying to focus on the management side as well as the art direction. So it is so difficult, and I know that very soon I have to hand over the art direction responsibilities to another person, and I think I'm going to be more focused on the marketing and the management stuff, because like as an owner of the company, it is really important to learn more things about marketing, how to creating content for the animation, and how to earn money, because without that we can't survive, and we can't keep the company like working on many more contents. So what I'm doing right now is a uh mix of everything. Like in another word, I'm doing like more management stuff. I'm hiring like many artists. I'm trying to supervise them. I'm trying to designing pipeline for the studio, and like overseeing everything that helps the studio to like going on, and that's what I'm doing right now. But like as an animation art director, like if I want to talk about my career, I was more focused on the CG animation and the stylized work, like cartoon animation, and particularly animated series.
All right. And speaking of some of the animations you mentioned, like Astrology and Santiago of the Sea.
Santiago of the Sea, yeah.
Yeah, Santiago of the Sea. Now, speaking of those projects, how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a design project like any of those?
Like I mean, let's say if you want to talk about the personal design and personal works, that's a totally different process and workflow than the animation project. Because when we get to work on the animation project, an animated TV series like Santiago of the Sea, usually the director and the creator of the content, um, like they are coming with the whole like content design. They sometimes do have everything, even the character design, the environment design, and then we are just more focused on the production, and that's a totally different experience. So in any project we do have a like new workflow and new scope. So let's say like in the astrology, when I used to work as an art director, I was just like establishing the overall look and feel of the project. I was even involved in the animation, and I was trying to help the animators to even design their style. I was working to with the rigger. I was working with the designers, like lighting and rendering supervisors, to make sure everything is consistent and everything is aligned. But for some other project like Santiago of the Sea, when client reach out to us, they already had everything ready, even the storyboard. And in the Santiago of the Sea, I was like working more as a like something like a 3D art director. So I was like supervising the 2D designer for the episodic design, because usually in the animated series you do have an episodic design and you do have a like separated pre-production. I was working with the like episodic designers, and also like I was working with the modeler, texture artist, VFX department to like have a daily supervision on all the effects things. And like finally, I was working with the like lighting supervisor and look dev artist to make sure all the sequences and all the lighting designs are consistent. So like depends on different project. We do have many different like pipeline and workflow.
All right. And well, I actually want to ask you about some of the stuff about the challenges that you had to go through to establish the nilian studio animation and the story behind it. And of course, for the audience that is listening right now, we actually surprisingly recorded a small like 5 minute segment in English actually about the formation of the nilian studio and how to create memorable characters. Some bonus content that we didn't discuss in the Farsi episode, or nor we're going to discuss here. So if you want to check that out, you can go check it on the IGTV of the podcast page in Instagram, or the YouTube channel of Kouryer Podcast, or which the name of it is Kouryer Studio. The links are all in the description, so it will be easy to find. Now, with that segment out of the way, I'll just resume what I was going to say. um but just for the sake of just giving some information and shedding some light on this issue, how first let us know what is the meaning of the name nilian studio animation, and also the challenges and the story of how you got to found the studio in Toronto.
So like it was a quite a long time that my wife and I we were contemplating about moving to another country. And because like my wife's family are like most of them are living in Toronto. And we thought also like I also always wanted to create my own animation content, and I was just looking for an opportunity to trying to launching my animation studio. And because I think one of the way that you can meet your dream is to create your own content and like working directly for the clients. And that's maybe one of the wish that every artist has, to like having an independent work and then like working directly for the clients. So my wife launched the main branch here in Toronto. And the nilian design name, the nilian is a Persian name. I'm not sure if this name does have any meaning or not, but this is like a feminine name. And my wife chose the name for the graphic design department, because we do have like two departments. One of them is that like graphic design and illustration, that my wife take care of it, and then I'm just more focused on the animation side. And there is like a small difference between the names, because like in the animation studio, we're calling it Nilian Animation Studio, and then in the graphic and illustration is Nilian Design Inc. So it was a really big challenge, and I was so scared that, like, am I gonna get enough project? How I can survive when we launched the company? But I was so lucky that, many of my former clients, they reached out to me. They started like ordering their projects, and we started with a few small projects from Unity Technology and Nickelodeon project. And Nickelodeon started like referring me to more clients, and I really appreciate that Nickelodeon like helped me to build up my company. And now we do have many different clients from all over the world, and like mainly in Canada. So since I found the company, we have worked for Mainframe Studio, Pipeline Studio, Nirvana Studio, of course for Nickelodeon, and many more clients, Unity Technologies, and many more clients. And but the challenges that I have right now, I'm trying to, establish the pipeline and workflow, particularly after the COVID things. It is really important to have a pipeline that everyone can work remotely. And but I think we have been doing a successful job in terms of set up the IT department, and connecting all the people successfully. We do have a few software collaborations that everyone can use them, and trying to having their routine job. And yeah, everything seems really good, and like everything is growing up.
All right, sounds awesome. And just wondering, out of it, all of these experiences you had, do you see in the future, in the near future, like in maybe a couple of years later, the studio grow bigger, and when in that case happens, you of course naturally you have to like try to get in, hire more people in, animators, maybe other staff and employees. Just wondering, just your personal opinion, not necessarily professional. What makes an employee, like someone who applies for a job to your studio, unique to you, like out of other people? Like in terms of personality, not necessarily technical aspects and all of that. Like what kind of soft skill do you see? Do you look out for people?
Yeah, and I think it is really difficult to encapsulate all the tips here. But if I have an advice, I think it would be like to apply on the right time. Because let's say I have been receiving many different applications for many different job titles, but like I'm just opening the applications whenever I'm looking for an artist. So let's say if you are even like receiving tons of applications, you don't have enough time to like go and give all of them a check. So it's better, like if an artist wants to apply for any studio, it's better to check their website and make sure they are in need of hire, like in that particular position. And this is something really important to me. Another thing is to keep the portfolio like straightforward. If you are creating a video for your portfolio, just keep it short. Do not go like over 2 minutes, and trying to keep the music so low key. I think it doesn't necessarily need to be so loud, and it doesn't need to have a very like rich content for the music. It should just represent your work in the best way. I think they should just like start their portfolio video with their best work, because the first impression, the first impact is really important. I just want to see something mind-blowing as a first work. And then as a last work, they should also add like another amazing work. Like their best works should be the first and the last video. And about the resume, I think like it should be also like just one page. I think that's the better format, because usually the CEOs and the HR department, they don't have enough time to go through a lot of pages, so they just want to have a summary of everything, which usually could be just a page. I don't know. That's just all the tips. I hope it helps the other artists that they're looking for new opportunity.
All right, awesome. And all right, next question. I know this next question is usually not the easiest one for artists to answer, but I'm sorry about that. Who are your favorite artists and designers? I know it's like, yeah, it's kind I know there's like so many and it's a hard question to answer, but yeah, it's always good to know.
Yeah, yeah. I think, look, like first of all, I I'm just gonna shout out to Pixar. I mean, to be honest, like short animation from Pixar's, they really inspired me. Something like Jerry's Game, For the Bird, and like many more short films. I don't even remember the names, but they were like mind blowing. I was so fascinated by the Pixar short films, and even the Toy Story first movie. So I got a lot of inspirations. One of the reasons that I really want to do short film was when I create short animation was watching short Pixar film. But when it comes to like artist and designer, I always get inspiration from Nicholas Marlet, who is one of the best character designers. He's worked for Pixar, DreamWorks, and like many more companies and tons of animations. I also love Daniel Arriaga. Daniel Arriaga, I think, he is one of the best designer in the world. He used to work on Coco and many more Pixar's movies. I took a course with Daniel Arriaga in schoolism school. It was about like 5 or 6 years ago, and I learned a lot of things from him. And like from Iranian artists, also I got a lot of inspiration from Ila Soleimani, who is the first, like he is the first one who like created 3D animation in Iran, and I learned a lot of things from him, and he is a great artist. Yeah, I think that so far I remembered just these things for like the inspiration.
All right. And what technologies and softwares do you mostly use for your works?
When it comes to my personal work, my workflow and pipeline is totally different with whatever we are doing in the studio. So in our studio, we are using Maya, Substance Maya for like modeling, texturing, shading, and rendering. We are using like Arnold Engine and Redshift. Like in some projects, we're working with Arnold. In some other projects, we're working with Redshift. We are using Substance Painter for texturing and some part of look dev. We are also using like Photoshop, Nuke for the final compositing, and ZBrush for the sculpting and your digital sculpting. But for my personal workflow, it is totally different. I'm using 3D Studio Max, Modbox, V-Ray, Photoshop, and Nuke. I mean, the reason that I'm using these softwares is that like I started my career with 3D Studio Max. I started like working with 3D Studio Max, and I'm really more like comfortable using 3D Studio Max and this pipeline. But for the production, I think the pipeline should be something different.
All right. And what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of project is it? I mean, of course, if there's an NDA involved, we can skip right past this question. But if that's not the case, tell us what you're doing right now.
No, not a problem at all. I can share a few things with you. So right now we are working on a few animated TV series. One of them is we named it Crime Tune. Crime Tune is a criminal adventure comedy animation, and I know that there are a few more like criminal animations, but not a lot. And it was always like one of my wishes to work on the criminal animation for adults, because like I have worked for many different kids contents and animated series for kids, but I thought, okay, it's the time to do something for adult. And I really love the criminal fiction, and that's one of the reason like I started creating Crime Tune. Another project is Fuzzy Tales. Fuzzy Tales is the name of the animated series that I'm working for the toddlers. We're creating a musical educational content for toddlers, and that's like most of my personal works are involved with like Fuzzy Tales. And we are also working on a few more IP for animated series. I can't share about them right now because like they're in the development stage. Even the name is not final yet. But like currently we do have these two animated series, and also we do have like a few projects from clients. Right now we are working for Mainframe Studio from Vancouver on an animated series. We are also working with Nirvana Animation Studio. They're more like 2D driven company, and we do have like a few more clients at the moment. I mean, that's like almost everything we are doing right now in our studio.
All right, sounds awesome. And what area beside the area you're working on right now, which is art direction and working in the nilian animation studio, beside all of those, what would you be interested to explore and learn in the future, or not just even explore and learn? Maybe you want to do something, maybe you want to travel, or maybe I don't know, want to uh, fa establish a cafe sometime in the future. Or, what dream or other aspirations you have for the future?
Well, one of the biggest dream that I have is to like launching a charity, and like trying to learning animation, trying to teaching animation to the to everyone. I mean, I really want to like all the children and like all the other different the class of the society, they should like involved in the art design. And I really, that's one of my dream to running a charity, and I starting like uh teaching and educating poor childrens to do art and design. That's one of my biggest dream. I mean, the personal dream, I mean, something that I want to gain for my life. It's I'm a like family man. I just want to spend more time with my family. I just want to probably like traveling my family all around the world. But my dream about the animation and art is to trying to have an institution or a charity that everyone can freely, without paying any cost, that they can learn animation and art.
All right. Well, with I think we've reached the end of this episode, but there's one thing left. With everything that's been said and done, to conclude all we discussed, please give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set, like where to start, best tools, softwares, courses, anything. What would the roadmap look like? What steps does that roadmap contain?
Yeah. So if I have any advice for the beginners, I would highly recommend to, you know, learning principles. That is something really important. I mean, computer and software is something that you can learn at any time. When I started like working with the computer, there was literally no source of the learning and like to learn the computer softwares, the 3D softwares. But nowadays we do have like tons of different resources for the like to learning the technology. And I think like learning the technology is like a little bit faster and a little bit more convenient than learning the art principle, because for the art principles you need experience. You have to spend more time to learn more, and also like there is no shortcut when you want to improve your artistic vision. So I am insisting them to reinforce the principle of the art. They I think, let's say like even a rigger, even an animator, lighting artist, all these artists should like have a hand drawing skill. They need to learn uh like about the colors, about the principle of the like how to create a movie, how like what is the best lighting, and about the science of the lighting. So I'm like highly recommended them to stick to the principle as well as learning technology, but they always should be careful to do not like get distracted by technology, and they should prioritize art as the first value in their journey.
All right, thank you so much. I think we've got the picture quite well. And thanks so much for coming by. And where can people contact you if they had any questions or.
They can send me direct message in Instagram. They can send me uh, Gmail. My personal Gmail is chenari.cartoon@gmail.com. And they can go through our website, which is niliananimation.com. And like from there, they can also send their portfolio and like any different messages in on the like studio's email.
All right. And by the way, for anyone who's listening till now, thank you so much, by the way. And I'm going to upload this episode on YouTube and all the audio platforms as well, full version. And the first 5 minutes was going to be on Instagram as well. But as you know, if you're a consistent listener of the podcast, there's also like, additional content, on the Instagram as well. The additional content was, of course, I uploaded it alongside the Farsi version of the episode in English as well. So, just another bonus thing to enjoy. And well, that's it. Thanks so much for coming by. And thank you to anyone who tuned in and listened. And until next episode, bye. Take care.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good one.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.